Li Qiang's slip of the tongue, official media quickly deletes. Unusual phenomena at 2 sessions, fire meteor falls on Beijing, earthquakes in multiple regions. Overseas pro-democracy National Affairs Conference outlines a China without the CCP. Expert, the US and its allies should ban China-linked IPOs. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Li Qiang's slip of the tongue, official media quickly deletes. An extremely notable piece of news emerged during the speech by current Chinese Premier Li Qiang on the morning of March 5, coinciding with the commencement of the CCP's 2 sessions. A video from the session showed Li Qiang misspeaking during the report, saying China's development will surely brave the wind and waves, there will be a future, before quickly correcting himself to the future is promising. However, CCTV's subsequent YouTube upload of the video edited out Li Qiang's gaffe, leaving the phrase as brave the wind and waves, the future is promising. However, the clip of Li Qiang's slip of the tongue spread rapidly online and ignited spirited discussions. Chinese political commentator Wen Zhao, writing on X platform, remarked, China's development will have a future, inadvertently stating a profound truth. Chinese affairs expert Zhang Tianlian, sharing the clip, commented humorously, LOL. Xi Jinping might be thinking, no worries if Li Qiang misspoke, the greater his embarrassment, the more it distracts from any embarrassment I've caused. Others interpreted Li Qiang's mistake as an unintentional revelation of his genuine sentiments, a profound truth driven by his subconscious. Some netizens said that this is what you get from military, worker, and peasant students all talk. And finally, while China's future is promising, the CCP's is not, leaving no room for regret. Some even heavily criticize, it's no surprise they've halted the press conferences. They must know his capabilities and fear he might slip up. It's as if they've assembled the most uneducated crew in history. The cancellation of the Premier's press conference, a tradition spanning 31 years, announced during this year's CCP 2 sessions, caused a stir among the public. National People's Congress, NPC, spokesperson Lu Qingjian announced on March 4 that there would be no Premier's press conference following the closure of the 2nd session of the 14th National People's Congress this year. Unless under special circumstances, there won't be any Premier's press conferences in the subsequent years of this NPC session. Harold Thibault, the new Beijing correspondent for France's Le Monde, suggested that the cancellation made people feel that the Chinese premier is no longer the true number 2 figure, but just another executor of Xi Jinping thought. Political commentator Zhou Xiaohui noted on March 6 that besides interpreting Li Qiang's praise as renewed loyalty to Xi, another interpretation is that amidst internal and external crises, Li Qiang is portraying himself as a weak premier to emphasize Xi's role as the ultimate decision-maker, thus absolving himself of responsibility. Whether it's the failing economy, public discontent, waning confidence from private and foreign businesses, or international pressure, the blame falls on the leader. He's merely powerless. Political commentator Yang Wei recently wrote that the CCP's current predicament is undeniable, and there's no effective strategy to address it. Xi Jinping fears dissenting voices, and by axing press conferences, it seems he's eliminating any chance of criticism. Additionally, Xi is cautious of Li Qiang diverging from his opinions like Li Keqiang did, so he's withholding such a platform from Li Qiang. Unusual phenomena at 2 sessions, fire meteor falls on Beijing, earthquakes in multiple regions. The CCP's 2 sessions have been marked by unusual occurrences. Just 2 days after their commencement, earthquakes rocked Xinjiang, Tibet, Gansu, and Liaoning. Notably, a 5.3 magnitude earthquake struck Sadoi County, Yushu Prefecture, Qinghai, with a depth of 10 kilometers, occurring at 10:07 a.m. on March 5. Official CCP media stated that there were no immediate reports of casualties or property damage. In Liaoning, residents reported intense and unnerving tremors. In addition to the seismic activity, the early hours of the first day of the 2 sessions saw Beijing witness 2 colossal fireball meteors streaking across the sky. Exploding as they descended, they emitted a dazzling green light, illuminating the night sky in an instant. In Chinese traditional culture, there's a belief in the harmonious relationship between heaven and humanity. The descent of fireball meteors often foreshadows significant events on Earth, such as the passing of important figures or the onset of disasters like wars. In folk beliefs, fireball meteors are seen as omens of social unrest and are often linked to the downfall of regimes, considered ominous signs. An illustrative incident occurred in 1976 when Jilin witnessed an unprecedented meteor shower, during which 3 notably large meteorites fell. That same year, China experienced the successive passing of its top 3 leaders, Mao Zedong, Zhu De, and Zhou Enlai, followed by the devastating Tangshan earthquake, measuring 7.8 on the Richter scale, claiming over 240,000 lives. Official CCP media barely acknowledged the event on the morning of March 5, yet videos of the meteor's descent circulated rapidly on Chinese social media platforms. Some online commentators remarked, "It's time," implying the possibility of Xi Jinping, the CCP leader, stepping down or unforeseen events occurring. Notably, on the first day of this year's 2 sessions, authorities abruptly cancelled the premier's press conference, sparking widespread domestic and international uproar. Veteran media figure Yan Chungo commented on Facebook, suggesting that with mounting internal and external concerns and the deteriorating situation, the cancellation of the premier's press conference signals the CCP regime's downfall. Overseas Pro-Democracy National Affairs Conference outlines a China without the CCP. According to Radio Free Asia, as China gears up to focus on stability at its National People's Congress, overseas activists will be holding a conference in Washington to plan for China's future transition to democracy. The conference, titled National Affairs Conference, was run by exiled former political prisoner in 1979 Democracy Wall movement leader Wei Jingsheng, former 1989 Tiananmen Square student protest leader Wang Dan, and Wang Huntao, who heads the U.S. branch of the China Democracy Party, which was banned in China after its members tried to register it through official channels. Attending were also Chinese democracy and constitutional law experts, scholars, and activists from Europe, the Asia-Pacific, and all over the United States. Following the meetings, a press briefing was hosted in a U.S. Congress conference room on March 4. Chairman Wang Huntao articulated, "This Congress aims to address 2 key issues. First, to imagine a post-CCP China and the establishment of its democratic system. Second, to debate the transition towards this future. With China on the cusp of significant change, it's essential to ponder the next steps for the Chinese nation." Wei Jingsheng views this as providing a roadmap for the Chinese populace. He remarked, "The moment is fast approaching, with the CCP grappling with both internal and external challenges. Its foreign relations and internal governance are in disarray, a fact clear to all. Moreover, Xi Jinping and the CCP are devoid of viable solutions, opting for harmful approaches, thereby accelerating their downfall." Wei also highlighted the participation of U.S. Congress members' representatives, emphasizing that there's broad consensus on the legitimacy of both peaceful and violent forms of resistance. The staff director of the U.S. Congressional Executive Commission on China, speaking for his boss, stressed everyone's fundamental right to resist oppression in any form. Wei encouraged Chinese citizens to adopt diverse tactics in their fight against the CCP to expedite its fall. Additionally, the conference released a political declaration addressing preparations for the CCP's fall across various dimensions, including China's political structure, civic resistance, the formation of an interim government, the protection of civil rights, the nationalization of the military, ensuring stable finance and economy, and fostering cooperation with the free and democratic world. Wei Jingsheng stated, "Our vision is to form a democracy aligned with the foundational values of major Western democracies yet customized for China's unique context. For example, regarding agricultural reforms, we support granting farmers full rights to their land, including the ability to buy, sell, and pass it on, directly addressing issues of land ownership. Concerning livelihoods, we recognize the challenges faced by the vast number of rural migrant workers, who are unjustly regarded as inferior to urban dwellers. Our commitment is to ensure equal rights for everyone, ensuring that both rural and urban residents have the same freedoms, such as the freedom to move freely and have equitable access to household registration. Wang Huntao revealed plans for future seminars to explore China's prospects without the CCP. Wang declared, following the toppling of tyranny, our first step is to hold democratic elections to establish a new government, labeling any future unelected government as tyrannical. The new democratic entity will ensure basic human rights, encompassing freedom of speech, press, publication, association, and the right to protest. The conference statement declared, we will explore ways to come together and work towards creating a new China that belongs to, is governed by, and shared among all its citizens, embodying freedom, democracy, fairness, justice, and adherence to the rule of law. Expert, the U.S. and its allies should ban China-linked IPOs. The article Ban China-Linked IPOs, published on March 5 by Anders Corr of Corr Analytics Incorporated, argues that the United States and its allies, already banning commerce with terrorists, should extend such prohibitions to what he considers a significant threat, the Chinese Communist Party. Mr. Corr highlights the case of Shein, an online clothing retailer with close ties to China, seeking to launch an initial public offering, IPO, in the U.S. He warns that international investors, potentially investing up to $10 billion, risk enriching a company embedded in an adversarial nation, which could ultimately benefit the Beijing regime. Mr. Corr reveals that Shein's CEO, Donald Tang, made a secretive trip to Beijing, allegedly to secure the Chinese government's approval for a New York IPO, as required by Chinese regulations for foreign-based companies operating within its borders. Despite being officially based in Singapore, Shein's need for CCP's consent casts doubts on the company's independence and the extent of Beijing's influence, including possible demands for CCP representation within Shein's board and unauthorized access to sensitive data of U.S. customers. Questions arise about Shein's opaque ownership structure, the stability of its value derived from Chinese subsidiaries and brands, and the risk of Beijing severing these entities from the parent company, undermining shareholder investments. Senator Marco Rubio, Republican from Florida, in a February 15 letter to the SEC, urged for stricter disclosure requirements for Shein and considered blocking its IPO, citing concerns over Shein's compliance with Chinese regulators known to instruct companies to mislead U.S. authorities and investors about the risks associated with operating in the PRC. A cautionary tale for potential Shein investors is Didi ride-hailing stock that tanked after its 2021 U.S. IPO raised $4.4 billion. The company was once valued at $80 billion. Then, Beijing started to regulate Didi into unprofitability. The company's valuation dropped by approximately $64 billion, or 80%, within a year of the IPO. Historically, hostage capitalism traces back to the 1949 Chinese Revolution, with Beijing exploiting international investors through excessive regulation and taxation. As reported by Bloomberg on February 26, despite caution among U.S. investors, recent IPOs by Chinese companies in the U.S. have been minimal, largely due to the fallout from Didi Global Incorporated's removal from New York exchanges in 2022. In the face of political resistance to its IPO, Shein's CEO considered London for listing, possibly to pressure U.S. partners into lobbying the SEC for relaxed standards. However, London's market, eager for a significant IPO like Shein, potentially worth over $10 billion, might compromise its standards to secure the deal. This situation raises concerns about the integrity of allowing China-linked companies to list in the US, the UK, or allied nations, as it risks tarnishing these countries' reputations for the benefit of providing such companies with a veneer of legitimacy. Shein's aimed IPO valuation of $80 to $90 billion exceeds its recent private valuation of $50 billion, raising questions about the true value, especially considering Beijing's history of asset stripping post-IPO, similar to the Evergrande situation. Despite these risks, Wall Street banks, attracted by the prospect of significant earnings from underwriting fees, support the listing, disregarding the potential negative implications for democratic values and U.S. national security. Investing in China-linked companies introduces substantial risks, including legal challenges, supply chain disruptions, and potential future confiscations by Beijing. Qiang has been accused of copying fashion designs and is suspected to have benefited from slave labor in Xinjiang. Ultimately, Qiang could be banned, forced off U.S. exchanges, like Didi, or made unprofitable in the United States and among its allies. Any of these contingencies would put significant downward pressure on shareholder value, to say the least. Knowing this could be one reason that existing private Qiang owners want to sell to the American public, who they likely see as suckers. The scenario resembles the prisoner's dilemma, in which both prisoners sell each other out and thus get suboptimal outcomes compared to cooperation. A London IPO would be a sellout of market democracy for short-term profits accrued by a few banks. Some forcing mechanism, like G7 legal coordination, is required so that New York, London, and other leading exchanges cooperate by banning China-linked IPOs. Mr. CORR concluded, the US and its allies ban commerce with terrorists, so they can ban commerce with what is arguably the greatest terrorist threat of all, the Chinese Communist Party. New bill seeks to force ByteDance to divest TikTok. The Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act, introduced on March 5 by 19 members of the House Select Committee on Strategic Competition with the CCP, including Chair Mike Gallagher, Republican from Wisconsin, and Ranking Member Raja Krishnamurti, Democratic from Illinois, proposes to ban the TikTok social media app in the United States unless its Chinese-owned parent company, ByteDance, divests its control. This legislation would prohibit app stores from offering TikTok for download and prevent US-based web hosting services from supporting any applications developed by ByteDance. To enforce this ban, the bill plans to utilize Title 10 of the United States Code, enabling Congress to designate ByteDance as operating under the influence of a foreign adversary, effectively targeting and mitigating potential national security threats posed by the app's operations within the United States. Mr. Gallagher said in a prepared statement, "This is my message to TikTok: break up with the Chinese Communist Party or lose access to your American users." TikTok's time in the United States is over unless it ends its relationship with CCP-controlled ByteDance. The bipartisan legislation was co-sponsored by 9 other Democrats and 8 Republicans. It is unclear what chance it has to pass the House as a whole, where legislators may be reluctant to come to loggerheads with one of the world's largest social media giants. Efforts to accomplish similar ends in the previous 2 congressional sessions have failed. For its part, TikTok presented the bill as an assault on free speech, saying that the legislation was an attempt to single out the company unfairly. Should the bill become a law, it would create a process for the president to classify social media apps under the influence of foreign adversaries as hazards to national security and prohibit them accordingly. The bill also provides ByteDance with a window of time to divest from TikTok, essentially compelling the company to sell the social media behemoth to a non-China-based company, and would not prohibit the company's products if it complies. Security and political risk experts have long warned that TikTok could be weaponized against American citizens through predatory surveillance practices, censorship, and the promotion of state-backed propaganda. TikTok's practices regarding the collection of user data have drawn scrutiny in recent years, as has its leadership's admission that the company previously censored content at the request of Beijing, though TikTok leadership denies that such is still the practice. ByteDance is believed to have deep ties to Beijing, and its leadership has previously espoused a commitment to creating products in line with the regime's communist values. For his part, TikTok Chief Executive Officer Shou Chu previously served as the Chief Financial Officer, CFO, for ByteDance and has made a concerted effort to staff TikTok with former ByteDance executives. Chu also served as CFO for Xiaomi, a Chinese company that the Trump administration sanctioned for aiding Beijing's military, though a court ruling ultimately blocked those sanctions. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.